Learn how physical gold and silver can secure your retirement funds from today's economic challenges with a gold IRA from American Hartford Gold. You can safeguard your wealth with no penalties or taxes when you transfer your current qualifying retirement accounts. Call now and our precious metals specialists will send you a free information kit, no cost or obligation. American Hartford Gold, a trusted industry leader with an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, has a 5-star rating from thousands of happy clients. Whether you are getting physical precious metals in a gold IRA or delivered to your doorstep, we offer only the highest quality gold and silver. For your peace of mind, we also offer a no-fee buyback commitment, a low-price guarantee, along with free shipping and free insurance. So don't wait. Call the number on your screen today and secure your financial future.
Welcome to Crossroads. Retailers are cutting back on variety. Various brands are reducing the number of options you may have noticed for different products and are instead focusing more heavily on just their best-selling goods. You might be noticing fewer options in the stores these days. Now, this shift is being touted by businesses as a response to, difficulties in the market. They can't manufacture as much. There's a shipping problem, they're saying, and also to make life easier for people doing their shopping. You don't have to think as much when you shop. But the shift also aligns with an agenda, and it's described under the C40 program for quote-unquote reducing consumption-based emissions. And I'm going to tell you all about it, folks. Now, let me show you first what Axios is saying. They say, the endless aisle of options at the store is shrinking as brands cut inventory, focusing on bestsellers to boost their profits. Why it matters. It's a reversal from the trend of giving consumers unlimited choice. And experts tell Axios a switch could reduce shopping stress while driving sales. The big picture. Some products started disappearing in the early days of the pandemic because of supply chain bottlenecks. Now, brands are continuing to slash assortment to get rid of unprofitable items and make room for the next new thing. It notes that Hasbro officials said Tuesday during an earnings call that the toy manufacturer eliminated about half of the brand's products. Folks, half of the brand's products gone. And they say it's part of a fewer, bigger, better philosophy. Dollar General, they say, is pruning options for products like mayonnaise. CEO Todd Vazo said in December, noting the consumer is not going to know the difference, and it will make her life a little simpler when she goes to the shelf. Why do you need all that mayonnaise, right? It says that Macy's and Kohl's have both pared down in-store offerings and are pushing more options online. And car manufacturers, it says, have also discontinued vehicles and limited color choices in recent years. Because why do you need all those colors if some people just mostly choose the same ones? Why do you need those outliers, right? Now look, they claim this can help reduce consumer indecision and make shopping easier and make more sales and so on. But this actually aligns also with an agenda that has previously been pushed by the World Economic Forum and the C40 Cities program, which notably many governments, local level governments, mayors and governors and so on, are signed onto, including many of the big cities in the United States. We have elected officials who have signed this and agreed to do it. Now, you might remember the headlines from a while back. Did you see the ones saying, for example, that the World Economic Forum wants us wearing uniforms, and they were going to limit the number of, the amount of clothes you could buy each year and keep it limited in options? This was actually based on a 2019 report. There were a lot of media being like, oh, it's fake news. This is misinformation. They never said you have to wear a uniform. It was half true. But interestingly, that report has since been removed from the internet on their main website. But luckily, folks, we can still find it online, and let me show it to you. This is the future of urban consumption in a 1.5 degrees Celsius world. And it's a report based on, again, the C40 program, which, again, many cities are signed on with. On page 11 of this report, and I'll show it to you, it says reducing consumption-based emissions, right? Reducing consumption-based emissions, meaning you are a consumer And when you purchase things, you, again, engage in that process. So how do you reduce consumption-based emissions? Well, they say it will require significant behavioral changes, meaning they want to make you change your behavior somehow. They want to change the way you live. It says, quote, individual consumers cannot change the way the global economy operates on their own, but many of the consumption interventions proposed in this report rely on individual action. In other words, consumption interventions, meaning they're intervening in the process of how you purchase goods. They say it is ultimately up to individuals to decide what type of food to eat and how to manage their shopping to avoid household food waste. It also is largely up to individuals to decide how many new items of clothing to buy, whether they should own and drive a private car, or how many personal flights to catch each year. And by the way, they want to restrict all this. I'll show you in a sec. They say, as this report shows, these are some of the most impactful consumption interventions that can be taken to reduce consumption-based emissions in C40 cities, which, again, the C40 cities program is something many cities in the US and in Europe are signed on with. The elected officials there have signed their names. It notes that furthermore, businesses and elected leaders respond to consumer demands and voter priorities. Signs of broad behavioral changes will therefore support low-carbon corporate and political action. If C40 cities are to cut their consumption-based emissions in half by 2030, that's 6 years away, and reduce them by 80% over the period up to 2050, it is critical that large-scale behavioral changes occur as soon as possible, and that governments and businesses, meaning again, this is the intervention. It's not you deciding you don't want to buy more stuff, and not you deciding you don't want to, be limited in the number of clothes you can buy or owning a car. They say that governments and businesses should do this, and to, quote, support a swift transition to more sustainable consumption policy through incentives and new business models. And what might those incentives and new business models be? Well, it sounds a lot like what the Axios report says, where businesses are simply limiting the number of goods available, maybe charging more for them but offering fewer. Page 11 of this report also says this: reducing the number of new clothing items bought every year reduce supply chain waste. And it says here in this chart that emission reduction goals between 2017 and 2030 includes reducing the number of new clothing items alone accounts for 39%, and they want to reduce that by 66% by 2050. Now, notably, it's not just clothes and maybe food items and so on. It's a lot of things. Here's the dietary change thing. They want to change the way we eat our food. It says, eat in line with healthy recommendations and lower meat and dairy consumption. Remember, we talked before about the goal to phase out meat consumption. They want to make it more expensive to eat meat. They say reduce the number of flights. They want you flying less. From the individuals who take their private jets to, the big climate change summits. They want to reduce car ownership, because part of the goal with these things is a model of economy where you don't actually own anything. Everything is rental based. You rent your car, you rent your internet, you rent your computer, you rent your household appliances. You don't fully own anything. They want to reduce private ownership or eliminate it. Sounds like Marxism to me, right? Eliminate private property. Now, it also says immediate and ambitious action on consumption-based emissions is needed from everyone to achieve a swift transition to a low-carbon economy. Mayors, national governments, businesses, and individual consumers, by the way, mayors, national governments, and so on, are signed on with this program in many areas. They say that they have to work together to decarbonize global supply chains and shift to sustainable consumption practices. And it notes, an accelerated transition to cleaner production will require much more ambitious national targets than the nationally determined contributions. These are NDC's nations that they have committed to under the Paris Agreement, meaning that the Paris Agreement, the Paris Climate Accord, was signed by many governments, including, ours, because Biden brought us back into it. But they believe that on a private level, aside from what has been agreed with internationally, that businesses, mayors, even you, need to do things much, much further than even the climate deals agreed to in the Paris Climate Accord. Now look, in other words, with this whole report, the report says that stores and brands are shrinking product options. Remember that? We were talking about that. The report from Axios, where they say this, stores and brands are shrinking product options. That does align with the agreement that many local officials have signed on to in most of the world's major cities under the C40 agreement. Now, we can't say for sure that this is the reason they're doing it, but hey, circumstantial evidence, it does seem to align, and regardless, it does seem to be achieving the goal that they say they want to achieve. Now, folks, briefly, Tuesday is today, meaning we have the full episode on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, so don't jump over. We will be staying on these platforms today for the full episode. In the rest of today's episode, I'm going to talk about how Biden is being accused of partnering with human traffickers. It's real. And how cartels are battling for control over migrant routes in the U.S. right now. Before we get into that, though, I recently released a special report on a secret Chinese biolab in California. You can only see this and many of the other special features we have on Epoch TV, EpochTV.com. That's our uncensored platform where they cannot stop us from saying what's real. So if you don't have a subscription to Epoch TV yet, be sure to check it out. The link to that is in the description below this video. Let me show you the trailer for my special report, again, only on Epoch TV.
Major gaps in regulations are allowing clandestine labs like the one in Reedley to operate.
Chinese laboratories just can't help themselves.
The more you look into it, the crazier it gets. I would ask, oh, what are you doing with the mice? Oh, well, we don't actually do that. It's someone else that does the experiment.
If the Chinese Communist Party wants to start a lab in the United States, there's no American law to stop them from doing it.